1915, or the Gnostic Mask, which he called the order's central ceremony of its public and private celebration. When Crowley moved to the United States in 1914 and attempted to open an OTO temple in Detroit, he was prompted by the Council of the Scottish Rite to peel away more of the similarities that the group shared with Freemasonry. When Roos died of a stroke in 1923, Crowley took over full leadership of the OTO. Under his leadership, Crowley described the OTO as offering a rational basis for universal brotherhood and for universal religion. He goes on, "It puts forward a scientific statement which is a summary of all that is present known about the universe by means of a simple yet sublime symbolism, artistically arranged. It also enables each man to discover for himself the personal destiny, indicates the moral and intellectual qualities which he requires in order to fulfill it freely, and finally puts in his hands an unimaginably powerful weapon, which he may use to develop in himself every faculty which he may need in his work." The OTO served as the sister society to the AA and was the first pre-existing religious society to later accept the Thelemic law. Crowley ran the OTO until his death in 1947. Crowley was infamous for his shameless experimentation with many types of drugs. The magician suffered from asthma and he treated it with copious amounts of heroin until developing a lifelong addiction. However, Crowley's advocacy for the drug was rooted much deeper than medical use. In addition to heroin, Crowley indulged deeply in ritualistic and magical use of mescaline, opium, cocaine, ether, alcohol, and hashish. He believed that these drugs provided a shortcut to opening alternate parts of the brain without years of rigorous self-training and practice. For example, the process of reaching nirvana in Buddhism. In particular, he held that the effects of hashish were proof of a new order of consciousness, and he wanted scientists to accept this claim and investigate. Throughout years of usage, Crowley insisted that he wasn't addicted. In contrast, he claims that his controversial 1922 Diary of a Drug Fiend was somewhat autobiographical. It was a novel, though. The book follows two lovers through a deep drug addiction and how they subsequently used Thelemic philosophy and magic to recover. This book contains the first mention of the Abbey of Thelema, but Crowley himself never did recover from his addiction to heroin. Crowley has been criticized as both a sexist and a racist. According to Do What Thou Wilt, a biography on Crowley written by Lauren Sutton, he largely prescribed to the notion of Victorian sexology, which holds that women are intellectually inferior to men. However, in the Book of the Law, Crowley contradicts this ideology with this statement. "We of Thelema say that every man and every woman is a star. We do not fool and flatter women, we do not despise and abuse them. To us, a woman is herself, absolute, original, independent, free, self-justified, exactly as a man is." Similarly, some of Crowley's Thelemic writings contradicted each other, with his seemingly blatant racist remarks coexisting with what seemed like admiration and intrigue for so many different cultures and religions. In older writings, Crowley had referred to Jews as degenerates and both Italians and Indians as niggers. However, in his final book, Magic Without Tears, Crowley expanded on the phrase "every man and every woman is a star" with this seemingly anti-racist sentiment. The only conceivable way of reconciling this and similar passages with "every man and every woman is a star," to assert the sovereignty of the individual and to deny the right to exist to class consciousness, crowd psychology, and so to mob rule and lynch law, but also the only practicable plan whereby we may each one of us settle down peacefully to mind his own business, pursue his true will, and to accomplish the great work. Crowley himself was a bisexual and had many lovers of both genders. In 1920, Crowley co-founded the Abbey of Thelema in Sicily, Italy. The Abbey was a small house that doubled as a magical school and utopian commune. The curriculum included daily sun worship, yogic and ritual practices, readings of Crowley's written work, and domestic labor. However, in 1923, one of Crowley's students and an Oxford graduate named Raoul Loveday died at the Abbey. The 23-year-old's wife, Betty May, blamed Loveday's passing on participation in a ritual that she claimed involved drinking the blood of a sacrificed cat. It's speculated that Loveday died from acute enteric fever from drinking bad water from a mountain spring, which supposedly Crowley had warned him against. Major controversy was stirred when May gave an interview to a London tabloid about her husband's death, resulting in Crowley being exiled by Mussolini's fascist government. Years later, the Abbey was abandoned and the walls of Crowley's artwork were whitewashed. The building still stands, albeit in rough shape. In 1955, filmmaker and Crowley enthusiast Kenneth Anger went inside and shot film of Crowley's murals. Crowley died on December 1st, 1947 of a respiratory infection. He was deeply addicted to heroin, and allegedly his doctor refused to give him another opiate prescription. Both Crowley and the doctor died within 24 hours of each other, and it's suspected that Crowley put a curse on the doctor because of the refusal. Frieda Harris, a close friend of Crowley's whom he had made his Scarlet Woman, insists that his last words were, "Sometimes I hate myself." The influence Crowley had had on everything from philosophy to pop culture is undeniable. The philosophy of LaVeyan Satanism is said to draw greatly from Crowley's writings. Shock rocker Marilyn Manson is well known for mentioning Crowley in interviews and making allusions to him in lyrics. The Beatles put him on the cover of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, and Led Zeppelin guitarist Jimmy Page became so obsessed with Crowley that he began a collection of the magician's manuscripts, clothing, and even bought the Boleskine house Crowley owned off the shores of Loch Ness in Scotland. Writer and philosopher Robert Anton Wilson even used Crowley as the main character for his 1981 novel, Masks of the Illuminati. While some people may have trouble moving past Crowley's contextualized status as an antichrist, his dark media portrayal, and his arguably flawed writings, those who keep an open mind may be able to find the specks of light that Thelema has to offer the individual.